I think the village of Huwara needs to be erased. I think that the state of Israel needs to do this, and God forbid, not private people.
So that is the minister in the Israeli government calling for the elimination of a town. Now, this is perhaps best described as just a far more explicit version of a philosophy that has been pursued for some time. But that said, don't like to see it being called out so explicitly, especially after all of the violence and forced moving of people and all of that we've seen for so long, the persecution, political and in terms of violence. Anyway, that was in reference to a town in the occupied West Bank where 2 Israeli brothers were shot and killed this weekend, prompting a rampage through the area by Israeli Jewish settlers that left at least 1 Palestinian man dead, others injured, and homes and cars burned. So obviously goes without saying that the initial violence is reprehensible. But then mass violence targeted at just any Palestinian person who happens to live in an area, I feel like is really, really bad too. And for some reason, the minister's like shockingly extreme response wasn't about the need to not have mob vigilante justice. It was that following all of that, we need more violence against the people who've already been devastated. That said, there's been an okay, if not amazing response by the State Department. Here is that.
I want to be very clear about this. These comments were irresponsible. They were repugnant. They were disgusting. And just as we condemn Palestinian incitement to violence, we condemn these provocative remarks that also amount to incitement to violence. We call on Prime Minister Netanyahu and other senior Israeli officials to publicly and clearly reject and disavow these comments. We've already noted our concern, as I did just a moment ago, about the wide-scale, indiscriminate violence by settlers against Palestinian civilians in this very town, in Huwara, that led to the death of 1 Palestinian man, more than 300 residents injured, 4 seriously, and the torching of an estimated of numerous Palestinian homes in Palestine.
So look, it's okay. It's again, it's drawing equivalences and all that, as they're always going to. It's calling for them to have a response rather than threatening like the loss of funding if this doesn't immediately stop, which seems fairly reasonable considering that's been going on for years and years and years and years at this point. But I guess that's stronger than what we might have expected if Trump was still president. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right. The funding is how you really bring this to an end. We give them billions every year. If that comes to an end, watch how quickly their behavior changes. When you have the most powerful military in the world, from the richest country in the world, giving you billions every year, you're going to feel emboldened. All your behavior, you're going to feel like you're beyond reproach. So that's the way to stop this if they really cared. But the thing is, I don't think they do. We would have seen action already. We would have seen anyone challenge it. But the thing is, if you even talk about how much money we give them, you're labeled an anti-Semite. We've seen that with Ilhan. We've seen that with Rashida Tlaib. We've seen that with AOC, various members of the squad. Yeah. It's because AIPAC and the Israeli lobby is so powerful here. They've done a great job conflating criticism of Israel with a very separate problem, which is anti-Semitism. That's totally unfair. It's disingenuous. And they know what they're doing. So until people can wake up and realize, hey, these are not the same thing. This is a government which has people in open air prisons and is killing them. And you have leaders calling for genocide, exterminating people based on who they are and which community they belong to. That is not the same thing as someone hating somebody because they're Jewish. So it's time for Congress, members of Congress, to push back against this AIPAC money, and ultimately for the U.S. to stop giving aid to Israel.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just in their response, the ambassador to the U.S. from Israel, Michael Herzog, says again, starts off with they've been attacking us, they've been attacking. Again, you're being asked to respond to like vigilante mob violence, like just killing civilians. So you go on your whole thing or whatever. And then says it is absolutely not Israeli policy and it's against our values to respond by wiping out civilian villages. Is it? I mean, like, I guess you probably don't have it written down on a piece of paper that it's official policy, but standing aside and letting people be wiped out or moved, buildings be demolished and all that is very much the actual thing that's been happening. So again, it's like Jordan said, it's some people seem to care a little bit, others maybe will pretend, some won't even rise to that level of pretending that you care about the people who were just killed. And then it's just back to, they obviously see the presence of these settlements, the presence of these human beings as inconvenient. And we'd really love to just skip to the end where they don't exist anymore. That is clearly the end goal of this. And it kind of feels like maybe at some point the international community could step in. Maybe we'll just do another 10 or 20 years of this though. Maybe we'll see what happens after that.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.